We're going to have a good chat about beauty. And that last panel felt very
personal
and difficult. And we're going to talk a little bit about how beauty and wellness and self-care are connected. But before we get to that, Kelly, I know you have had a very interesting journey at Ulta Beauty, and I'd love to hear more about that in your new role and what your remit is, what you're trying to accomplish.
Thank you. Well, I've now been able to say this, I think, 3 times publicly, that I'm the new Chief Marketing Officer for Ulta Beauty.
Congratulations. That's fantastic.
Thank you. 2 weeks in, that's all. But 10 years with the company, so not a newbie. I think one of the headlines read, "Long-time exec gets promoted." I was like, is that a good thing? I don't know. But no, it's a great thing. It's a great thing. It's truly a dream job for me. I've been with the company a long time. I started my journey off at Ulta Beauty in loyalty. So I ran our credit card launch. So our credit card is an extension of our loyalty program. And then from there, I did a stint in our stores. So our store operations and retail operations, and actually met Keisha Steelman, who some of you might know was just promoted prior to me to the CEO position. She was formerly our Chief Operating Officer and President. So it was a great year and a half kind of leap of faith to go over to the retail side of our business and really learn retail. Because prior to that, I had spent 12 years in oil. So we could talk about that all day long, right? Like, how did I come from oil over to beauty? But I did, and it's been so fun, and it's so great that I get to do this. I don't do this, I get to do this. But after meeting Keisha and just really learning what the power of having real advocacy is, I came back to marketing only to lead a bigger team, still centered around loyalty, but also personalization and unleashing our data, and how we were going to move in the direction of creating personalized experience and digital experiences for our customer. And now to be asked to be the CMO is just, like I said, a dream come true. So I'm able to kind of take the whole remit of how we talk with our consumer and how we tell stories of our brand and where it shows up across our media and all the channels, our PR. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, it's terrific. And I love an origin story like that where, you move through the company. And I can imagine the retail experience was very powerful because that's a big part of the Ulta equation and experience for consumers.
That's where, we have 58,000 associates across the company, and 50,000 of them are sitting in, our stores on the front lines, talking with our customers, making the magic happen, that human experience, that welcoming and inclusive environment that only we create in the beauty industry. So to have the experience of understanding that job as a marketer then just makes me so much stronger coming into this role today. I think people actually looked and said, what are you doing? Moving from marketing, going over to the field side of the business, learning retail. You're never going to get back into marketing. It was like, I don't think so. I'm just going to take this leap of faith because I really want to understand retail.
Yeah, terrific.
Yeah.
I know we talked a little bit before about how wellness and beauty are really becoming more and more entwined. Yeah. I imagine that's playing out in your stores, but would love to hear, what your research and your understanding of consumers and what you all are seeing about wellness and beauty and how that's becoming, where that's intersecting and how that's playing out for consumers and how Ulta thinks about embracing that.
Yes, so we caught on to the idea that there was self-care was a form of expression, a form of beauty. Like, we celebrate the superpowers of beauty. We talk about that a lot. Our brand was once all things beauty all in one place. And it still is very much part of who we are and the DNA and what we can offer a customer coming into our stores. Every category, cross-load, luxe price points. That is all things beauty. And people really love that about us. But we knew that we had to play a more meaningful role in the lives of our customers because we're a community and we're a home to beauty enthusiasts. We like to say for any age at all life stage. So wellness became one of those budding superpowers we saw 5 years ago, or self-care. We were talking about it as self-care, especially COVID. COVID really taught us this lesson. This is a truth. This is an insight. People are prioritizing their beauty routines as much as they're prioritizing physical fitness and getting up and, skincare became like, that's a routine. Hair care became, that's a routine. And today, fast forwarding, that has now been inextricably linked in our minds. So we're a beauty and wellness company. That's how we talk about ourselves. And maybe someday we'll be a wellness company. That doesn't mean we won't sell beauty products. It's all in the definition of what beauty is. And I want to say, Ulta Beauty really rewrote the definition, led the way in rewriting the definition of beauty 7 years ago when we came out with Unleashing the Possibilities as our ad platform. It's not just an ad platform, by the way, that is our mission. We celebrate the superpowers of beauty that lie within every beauty enthusiast to unleash the possibilities, the power of the possibilities.
Oh, I love that. And, I know you have all done a lot of research on generations and joy. We've done research at Razorfish on Gen Alpha and understanding how they interact in the world and how they think, and how as a digitally native and COVID generation, they're going to, I think, change the world. And what we're seeing in our research is that Gen Alpha is fascinated and obsessed with beauty and skincare.
Yeah.
So would love to hear a little bit about how you're thinking about the different generations, and especially like Gen Alpha, Gen Z, which we know, we're not advertising to Gen Alpha.
Right.
But Gen Z we are.
Yeah.
And just kind of would love to hear your perspective on what you're seeing in store and in your data.
For sure. We look at this generation very closely. We just published Generation Joy report, I don't know, maybe about a year ago, actually, almost a year ago. And I think the most fascinating thing that we saw out of that report was that the next generation of beauty shopper, starting earlier and earlier and earlier. When I was a teenager, I know I wasn't even allowed, or did I even want to put on makeup until I was 14, freshman in high school. I think I was still trying to figure out how to put on eyeliner. But this generation is engaging with beauty starting as early as 8 or 9. So that's one big shift. And they're really understanding beauty. They're well informed about beauty because they can consume information about beauty through so many different places like social media and influencers. So they're really well informed. I think the thing that we need to really think about as Ulta Beauty when it comes to encouraging Gen Alphas in this space is creating a healthy relationship with beauty. So I think that's the role we play right now. You'd mentioned we're not advertising to this generation, but if we are in the space that we know they are in consuming information about beauty, how are we putting out the right content that's helping every Gen Alpha that's engaging in beauty to know what's the right beauty product to put on their skin? And we know, because we've seen, they're fascinated by these brands that may not be so great for them.
Yeah, I know that what we've saw in our research is that their favorite brands are for Gen Alpha are social influencer brands.
Yeah.
And I'm curious how that plays out for Ulta and in store and online for you all.
It is true. I mean, and I was on a different panel yesterday and we were talking about the midlife. And social and influencer beauty is a thing. This is where beauty is about discovery. People are getting their information no matter what age you are, but for sure in this younger generation, it is definitely playing out. So we can see it in our stores, younger and younger kids coming in with mom, and that we love because we're all about multi-generational shopping. And we have a pretty expansive footprint, so 10,000 square feet. So we can really accommodate this and started to see this. And we're how can we really lean into this multi-generational shopping through eventing, for instance? And so we're turning our stores into a real destination to support this. And also what's fascinating in this Generation Joy report that we found out is the younger generations are more gender fluid when it comes to their interpretation of beauty. So we're welcoming boys, in much higher volumes than we've seen. And they're loving fragrance. They're really coming along for the ride with mom and maybe sister. And they all have their little destinations within our store. And we are there to really support and cultivate that.
Yeah, that's great. That also popped in our research that boys are also very engaged in beauty and well-being. And so it's interesting to hear that it's fragrance that's drawing them in.
Yes.
I feel like those junior high classrooms must be very fragrant.
Yes, I think so.
All right. So I know we talked a little bit too about different generations.
Yeah.
And, curious to hear how you do think about that multi-generational experience, because it's not just about looking younger. It's, really looking healthy and looking your best, and everything that, having your appearance can do for you. So can you talk a little bit about how you do think about women as they age, and how you are adapting those messages?
I would love to. I think this is one of those topics that is so important that we create community and we create conversation around, especially topics like menopause, which for many years, I think that was a taboo topic. People didn't talk about that. And jokingly, like every woman in this room, guess what? You're going to go through menopause. So that's a fact of life. Why don't we figure out a way to have a conversation about it? It's a very lonely and isolating topic. And I think we're definitely talking about it more, but what we're not saying is we're creating enough community to learn from one another and educate one another at the speed by which we need to. And so one of those ways in which we're leaning in is, and this does fall under our wellness platform, is we have a wellness shop in all of our stores. And we're going to expand that. We're going to lean in and expand in the assortment of the wellness shop, and also really lean into education about this. So, because sleeping well is a part of your beauty and wellness routine, and making sure that you have the right ingestibles and supplements. And you're going to see us already. We have some really great brands out there like Women-ness. If you guys have ever heard about this, Women-ness, I see some nods. Beautiful product line that's just really meant to be solution oriented, not problem solving, like not anti-aging, but pro-aging. And it ranges from skincare to all sorts of wonderful products that can help grow with. Because it's an evolution, it's a journey. It's not about the end destination.
Yeah, and we did, it's interesting you bring up menopause. We did a research study last year on menopause. We called it Meno-Miss, because there are so many women, and it's a 10-year life stage for women, and it's just completely underserved. So fantastic, and kudos to Ulta Beauty for creating a space to have those conversations and to solve those problems. I'm curious about how you think about consumer research, understanding consumer mindsets, and any kind of fun facts that you all have found or insights around different mindsets by consumer set, not just generationally, but from a beauty enthusiast all the way to like the casual buyer and those kinds of things, and how you think about those mindsets as well.
Yeah, I love this question. In my root, I am a data and analytics and personalization loyalty CRM expert. So, well, I shouldn't even call myself an expert. That's it. But that's where I really have most of my spike. So as a CMO, I think that's kind of the more, I didn't believe I could actually be a CMO and have that career profile until just like a few years ago, to be honest with you. And I would find myself kind of wondering, am I a finance professional? Am I a digital professional? Who am I? Who am I? And I'm so happy to see that this is embraced as part of the CMO career track now, because at the heart of every decision we need to be making is your understanding of your consumer. And I like to tell this story about Ulta Beauty when we talk about this question, because 35 years ago, Ulta Beauty was founded by two executives from Osco Drug. If you're from the Midwest, you know Osco Drug. If you're not, sorry, you don't know Osco Drug. But it's like a convenience store, more of a mass beauty retailer. And not just beauty, all things, kind of like Walgreens. And what they identified as they were kind of watching the consumer shop for beauty is that they were filling their makeup bag with a few products and then complaining that they had to take that next stop over to the department store where they could supplement their makeup bag with a few items that they like to buy on the prestige side or the more luxury side of the beauty spectrum. So their bag was a mixed bag of multiple price points across all the categories of beauty. And it was literally that understanding that founded our company 35 years ago. It's really wild if you think about it. This whole idea of having all categories, all price points never existed till 35 years ago. And that's what really propelled our success for so long. The fact that we have locations in easy to shop places, so it's accessible. We really changed the game. We're the OG disruptors of beauty. So that was really how we came to be. Now you layer into that our Ulta Beauty Rewards program, which our Ulta Beauty Rewards program is pretty kick-ass.
It sure is. It's so impressive.
The best.
Tell us the facts. Give us the facts and figures.
So the facts are 44 million Ulta Beauty Rewards members. And that is a lot of people in the United States, especially, especially when you think about how many people we have in the United States. What is it, like 330 million? You cut that in half and say about 100 and maybe, I don't know, 100 and so are going to be women. And we have a lot of them in our program. So it's about a third, which is awesome, which also means we have a lot of headroom. We have a lot of headroom. We can still grow. So 95% of all of our sales are coming from members. That's when I usually get the mic drop moment.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in the industry, you go, how did you get 95% of every sales dollar flowing through your member? And this started 11 years ago. Like, I was lucky enough to come into that when I joined the company. I just had to maintain that. And so we have a treasure trove of first-party data, and we had that before first-party data ever became a thing. And it's our crown jewel. It's really what's setting us to be truly distinctive in the retail industry. And now with the power of AI and data analytics and advanced analytics being just more accessible, we're set to just really ramp and accelerate in our ability to understand the consumer and then be able to leverage that data to truly power personalized experiences. Because how can you be beauty for every age, every life stage, if you're not able to apply that data and personalize the experiences? Otherwise, you're kind of like all things to everyone and nothing to no one.
Yeah, and I, as a member of the rewards program, and my husband's a member too, to be honest with you, and somehow sometimes our wires get crossed when the catalog comes. But you know, what I love about that is it's not only hitting the things that I like, but exposing me to new things that maybe I do want to try. I'm curious. You know, if there's anything you can share about how you segment your program, because I feel like to have that kind of buy-in, you're doing more than a discount program. There's a connection that you're building that's based on emotions and based on a real connection with your shoppers. So we'd love to hear more about how you're doing that.
Yeah, no, thank you for that question. I mean, it is the start. You got to provide some transactional value to get somebody wanted to even create a relationship with you. And so we do that. But it is so much more than that. And it will be even so much more than that as we continue to evolve this in the future. We like to think of the program as this is the program or membership that matters or access to so much. And part of that is kind of our first part is how do we start to really get you into the personalization journey? And it starts with understanding cohorts of customers. I hate that word, but I have to use it because I haven't been able to think of a better way to describe this. But while it is personalized, you kind of have to start with a cluster. And that cluster is informed by, of course, the transactional data that we have about every customer, because we know what you're buying, when you're buying it, where you're buying it. But also, we know socially you're engaged, you've commented, you've really been interested in this type of category, and we see that you have some browse history because you've been on Ulta.com. And so with the power of AI, this is really happening. With the power of AI, we can actually form clusters based on not just what you buy or who you are demographically. That is a factor, but also what you're all about. And so like skincare sophisticate, for instance, might be a cluster where you have somebody that really loves skincare. They're more routine-based. They'll buy, but they need a lot of help understanding. And they want, you have the opportunity to stretch their lifetime value. Everything's got to be based on a lifetime value by adding one more step to their routine, as long as you don't make it overcomplicated. But if you know this, you know that you can hit them with a serum, because they're interested and you've seen they have a propensity to do that and they buy and they like that. Versus somebody that might not be, maybe more of a, hey, I just need multi-functions, less is more. I need just give me the 3 steps in one. and we start to understand that, and we are able to create journeys based on who they are, what they like, where they consume.
Yeah, what I love about that is you're going from not just the clicks and the data and the purchase, but the why behind that, which I think is so important for marketers, but the hardest part is to understand the whys and then what you do about it.
It's test. I wish I could sit here and say we know this. It's all totally figured out. We do start with it's not even a hypothesis, really well informed. Like, we can say you're part of our skincare sophisticates, but we don't quite know going into this exactly what's going to motivate you. That's the power of MarTech and data being integrated into your MarTech and all the channels that you have to touch, because you got to rapidly roll through tests with each individual to really get you to a place where you are like, wow, I didn't even know I needed that. Thank you for understanding me. I think we're getting there. Like, it's going to take time, I think, to really scale that in a way, but not that much time, because I feel like we're on the cusp.
Now, how do you think about AI? Because for a lot of our clients, we're talking about how AI can help in that equation. But I also think that beauty is a category where we want real people, right? Now, we don't want to see AI generated women in advertising. Right. So how are you all thinking about AI in your marketing equation?
Yeah, I will start with, we've been doing AI for a long time, actually. So it's not new, it's been around. Even before COVID, AI for data and helping us laser target and be more contextualized in our messaging is something we've applied AI to for quite some time. I think what you're referring to is a really great point, which is how do we start to leverage generative AI, and how do we leverage AI for the purposes of enhancing the human experience or enhancing the digital journey? COVID taught us a lot, which is, thank goodness, we had this thing called Glam Lab, which is our augmented virtual reality. I don't know if anybody in this room has the app. If you don't, go get it, play around. It's hilarious. I have lots of screenshots of saved images from my kids and grandpa and grandma, everybody using it just to have a little bit of fun. But this is a tool that, thank goodness, we had integrated into our app prior to having COVID happen, because we had to shut down our stores, every single store, for 8 weeks. So that's where the heartbeat of the magic happens. So when that happened, we leaned harder into the mobile app with this Glam Lab feature to continue the discovery. Because if you remember, people were really excited to buy makeup. We didn't realize it, but they were super excited to buy makeup when they were sitting at home. Not just makeup, skincare, hair care. And so to have that Glam Lab allowed them to be sitting on their couch in their home in a safe place and still experiment, discover, and explore. When we saw this happening, we realized that this is a companion to the shopping experience. After we opened the stores, we saw people, as long as they tried it once, coming into our stores, trying on and looking at the product in physical. And even if we had a tester, they felt it was a safer way to actually test product. So we sharpened our technology around Glam Lab. We saw that as a critical place that we wanted to invest and lean into. And it's a terrific example, I think, of applying AI to enhance the experience rather than take over or create unrealistic beauty expectations. And try it out, because you can move your face around when you're trying on lipstick, and the lipstick stays within the lines. It's not incredible. It's not goofy. You don't see like lipstick all of a sudden on your cheeks. It's really, really great. It's precise. It's so good.
Well, Kelly, I think we are out of time, if I believe the signal's in the back, but thank you so much for sharing your story, as well as everything that's going on at Ulta. It's always fascinating to learn about the science of marketing that's going behind something like a beauty brand, and looking forward to seeing everything that you all will be coming out with this year. So thank you today.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.